Open Your Eyes is brought to you by the Belize Bank. Our country, your bank.
And welcome to Open Your Eyes.
Start your morning right.
I'm April Martinez.
And I'm Gavin Courtney.
And good morning, and thank you so much for having us in your home this Tuesday, this wet Tuesday.
Yep. Yeah, so luckily just as I was leaving my house, it started to rain right
Yes. I got into Belize U-20 and it was raining. It was really, really foggy the entire way up until I got to Belize U-20.
Yep. And it's over now, so I don't know what that quick little shower was for.
We will find out.
Yeah, we'll find out a bit later what you can expect for later in the day.
Yeah. From meteorology.
Yep.
But what we will try to do every morning is talk about what's buzzing on the media. And right before Gavin sat, I said, Gavin, I'm going to prick your brain this morning because I don't know if everybody knows, but Gavin's a lawyer. And so I wanted to sit and talk, not necessarily about the headlines, but a little bit about the laws in Belize and how they are similar or not similar, but we can compare them to laws in the United States or in other countries. So for those of you that don't know or were not paying attention to the news last night, there was the case that Isani and I were talking about yesterday with Allison Major. And yesterday was the court case, and News 5 brought to you the final verdict where Corporal Kent Martinez was, he was charged, he was predicted not guilty. So, Gavin, I think this is something that we have talked about time and time again when it comes to these cases against law enforcement and police officers. And one of the things that Allison Major's mother said is that she wasn't surprised. That now she's lost all faith, all hope in the justice system. So I wanted to ask, for somebody that has studied law, why is it that it's so difficult to convict someone in law enforcement?
Well, I think that when it comes to in Belize, right? I think that the difficulty in a case like this is pretty much a difficulty that we face across the board in trying to convict people of serious crimes when it comes, and we're talking. So in this case, the charge was manslaughter, or manslaughter by negligence to be specific, and it was, and Corporal Martinez was charged with the killing of Allison Major, and securing a murder conviction or a manslaughter conviction or anything really in Belize, for the most part, rests on eyewitness testimony. Where that fails, we do have some forensic facilities. Now, eyewitness testimony traditionally, if you know, any murder case is always difficult to get, especially considering the limits of the justice system when it comes to timing, the time between the incident happens and you get to trial, witness protection, all of those issues are the same when it comes to law enforcement, if not even greater, when you consider that the persons charged with handling, investigating it's one, and in a situation like this, it would be another officer.
Yeah.
So investigation, forensics, which traditionally have been weak to almost non-existent. In some cases, we've been getting more we've been developing more in recent years, but I think that in this question, in any criminal proceeding, first I should have started here really. When it comes to the standard of proof to actually prove somebody's guilt, you have two standards in the courts. Civil standards, which means on a balance of probabilities, which means that, let's say I sue you and we're involved in a lawsuit. We have one side and the other side. The standard is on the balance, who has proved their case. So that means that it doesn't necessarily have to, it just means that that one case has to be stronger than the other.
Okay.
Criminal law, the standard is beyond reasonable doubt, which means that in order to secure a conviction, it doesn't mean that you have to be, there's no, well, essentially what it means is that you have to be satisfied beyond reasonable doubt. It doesn't mean beyond all possible doubt, but you have to eliminate possibilities that this person may have done this or has done what they're accused of doing. It may be that they did some act, but does it fit the exact description of the crime of, in this case, is it manslaughter? In other cases, like with murder, where you actually have to prove intent, which is to kill somebody, premeditation in states, which is much harder to prove than manslaughter, where you just more or less have to prove the act of doing it was done by the person.
Wow.
So if there's no witness testimony to say, I saw this person do this, or there's no confession, then you have to rely on the other evidence, which a lot of times is circumstantial, generally not sufficient to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that somebody has done something. And then the forensic evidence or the circumstantial evidence has to be very strong. And from my understanding of the case that I've read, it was an issue with the forensics, and I think that it goes back to the standard, so that if there's something which can put doubt in the mind, and I believe this would have been, I think this was a judge alone trial, I don't think there was a jury, you have to be satisfied beyond a reasonable doubt that the evidence which has been put before the court, because you can only make the decision based on what has been put in, and you're not supposed to take into consideration other things or your feelings. You have to say, well, does this evidence point
to this?
And I think that is the difficulty. In other jurisdictions like the United States, law enforcement has even more protections in terms of privilege for certain actions that they do. There was actually a lot of buzz recently about a decision from the Supreme Court of the United States. I believe it was handed down a week or two ago. More on the appeals process, but basically the court made it even harder for people to convict police and for people to even be exonerated if there's evidence of their innocence.
Right. Wow. So it goes back to a little bit more of strengthening how we are able to hold certain people in law enforcement accountable when it comes to body cameras and making sure that people that are witnesses do step up and say something, and make sure that they're well protected, of course, with witness protection and so forth. But I really wanted to discuss this because, the time and time again we see these types of court cases, and people say, well, that believes that the laws, not change, and we're not surprised. But I'm glad you broke this down, because the reality is that the law is the law, and if you have a good lawyer, you're able to walk away with what did you say? Without reasonable doubt, the bending of certain cases. But I wanted to get into that and to discuss more. We always talk about these kinds of things on the show, and I needed perspective, because I think that one of the sad realities of, I guess, not just Belize but everywhere else, is that you don't feel like you are being protected by your justice system. You feel like the justice system is there to protect law enforcement. And so it makes us not feel confident in these kinds of cases, and I think it also makes people that are witnesses to not want to come forward, because it would just be someone else's word against theirs. I'm not sure how you see it.
No, I think that I think that I understand absolutely what you're saying, and I think that we do. I mean, it's a big issue because, I mean, our conviction rate has been, for serious crimes has been, perennially very low. It's been under 10%, for as long as I can remember. And these are the reasons why, and I think it absolutely does create a problem of confidence in the justice system. And I think that, despite the efforts of people to improve things, we see results that we are at times not able to reconcile, like this one, where people may have thought that based on what was reported or based on something that that there's a clear picture.
Yeah.
But when you look into the workings of the justice system, you see that it's not very straightforward.
Yeah.
Things that we can do to improve that are, one, adding more protections for witnesses. Again, improving on our forensic capabilities so that we can actually use more forensic evidence to tie people to crimes that they've actually committed. And that will then, and then also, making the system more efficient so that, we can, that we don't try a case or something 3, 4, 5, 6 years after the incident happened, by which time, even if the witnesses are willing to participate, can you trust an account that happened from 5 years ago?
5 years ago.
And those are just the things that are inherent to the system that we're working with right now. And then we can always ask ourselves questions like, well, can we change this in a substantial way? Can we change the standard? And then the balancing act you have to do is, well, or at the end of the day, if somebody's charged with a crime and a serious crime, and it could carry, a life sentence or something, the law says that, well, since the penalties are so high, you have to be very sure that you're going to convict that this person has done what they did.
Yeah.
So you see, it's the strictures are there for a reason, to protect people who may be innocent, who are maybe charged, of course.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, based on the results that we get, we know that there's a problem, and it's how are we going to address it?
Yeah, I like that you said that, because we often forget that it is innocent until proven guilty. And for the most part, you are absolutely right. Not just the media, but people who have a feeling of something being done wrong towards a loved one or a family member and so forth. And here's a suspect. Why isn't the police getting this suspect? And maybe it's not who you think it is.
Yeah.
So you're absolutely right, and I think that for the most part, these are the conversations to have when it comes to the. I don't know how many of us sit and read our laws or look at the revised constitution and think, oh, maybe we should focus on this, or maybe we should try to see how we can strengthen this particular law or reinforce certain laws, right? And who is responsible for these things and how do we hold them accountable and so forth. But I did really want to touch on that, because I think a lot of people were upset about this verdict, and I just wanted to get the perspective from somebody who knows the ins and outs, because I don't know the ins and outs. I can sit and complain and judge the verdict, but it's good to get perspective from someone who understands. But try to have these conversations. Try to see who you can talk to. Go on the website and see if you can look at a copy of our Constitution. It's there for you to see, and get yourself versed and involved in these kinds of cases. But we have to move on into our show for this morning. And even though that was a little bit of an educational route that we took for the What's Buzzing segment, we want to get into the eye-opener and start your morning with a little bit of a refresher and motivation. And an eye-opener is taken from dailyom.com, and it goes like this. By always using our cell phones, texting and surfing the internet, we actually become less connected and more distracted. We are often lured by the promise of new technologies to make our lives easier and help connect us to others. While they do in so many ways, they also present each of us with opportunities to make new choices about how we spend our time and invest our energy. Most gadgets are generally meant to improve the quality of our lives. But it is when we spend too much time with them that they actually do the opposite. By always using our cell phones, playing video games, and surfing the internet, we actually become less connected and more distracted. By becoming aware of these tendencies, we harness the power to overcome them and make better choices for ourselves and our families. When we use the discernment about how we invest our personal energy, we can be sure that we choose only the best for ourselves and those we love. Our gadgets can be useful tools for our journey in the material world, but we must not forget that we are spiritual beings having a human experience. And that means interacting with people on a personal level. Choices that enliven us and help us feel connected to our world and our loved ones always deserve our full attention and presence of mind, body, and spirit. Gavin, how often do you go without looking at your phone?
You know, if I think about it, it's not very, I mean, I'm always attached to it. And I was actually thinking as you were reading this, I'm like, did somebody's mom write this? Because I can even hear, even now, if I go to my parents' house or if I'm like having lunch with them and my mom will still tell me, it's like, why are you on your phone so much? Something like that. And I think that, especially the younger you get, that problem increases. Assuming it's a problem, but but the eye opener is absolutely right that you can, and even I find myself, sometimes, especially like if I'm in a crowded place and I've been on the phone, scrolling through whatever Instagram or Twitter or something, and you realize that things have gone on around you that you haven't even noticed at all. So that feeling of disconnection is really true.
But you know what I like particularly, or I wanted to read. By surfing the internet, we actually become less connected and more distracted. But you know something? That is what people do sometimes on purpose. When you are at a restaurant and you have all of these kids and they're not sitting, and so what do? You hand them over a device so that they sit. And that kind of behavior eventually becomes something habitual. And then that is something that you can't shake after a period of time because you think that you need it. You think that that's the only way that you're able to stay, quote unquote, connected. But for me, I could go hours without it, and it's a problem because that is something that I think if somebody needs to reach you for an emergency, that's what it is. If I need it because there's going to be an emergency, but so I do agree with this. I really like this eye opener. I do think that we lose track of the personal things that happen in our lives, or we lose track of important events that are on an emotional, personal level because we're attached to our cell phones or our technology. So I like this opener. I think that try to see how often you can do without looking at your phone. Do a test, put it away, put a timer on, and then see if you even notice that you haven't looked at your phone.
Oh yeah, for sure. I agree.
But we gotta get into the weather for this morning, and our friends are from the National Meteorological Service of Belize are here to tell us all about it. Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you, Mr. Derek?
I'm doing good, thank you.
All right, so let's get into our general situation for today.
Okay, there's a tropical wave that will affect the weather today, and so we're expecting showery weather today.
So that's why Medarino and I come in a Belize City.
That's correct.
And what can we expect over the next 24 hours?
Okay, for today we're expecting cloudy skies with sunny breaks, a few showers or thunderstorms, and some light rain over most areas today, with the shower and rain activity gradually decreasing tonight. The winds will be generally from the east at 5 to 15 knots, and the sea stays choppy. However, we have a small craft caution for gusty winds and locally rough seas near thunderstorms.
All right, and our temperatures are highs and lows?
Okay, highs today will be around 86 Fahrenheit along the coast, 90 inland, and 80 degrees up in the mountains. The lows for tonight, 81 along the coast, 74 inland, 68 up in the hills.
All right, and what about our outlook for Wednesday and Wednesday night?
Okay, so we are expecting an improvement tomorrow, and we're going for mainly fair weather with only isolated showers or isolated thunderstorms.
All right. Any tropical update?
Yes, at the moment there is no area of concern in the North Atlantic, the Caribbean Sea, or the Gulf of Mexico. So tropical cyclone formation is not expected in those areas during the next 48 hours.
All right. Let's hope it stays that way.
Correct.
All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Rodon. Have a good day.
You're welcome. Okay, and you too.
All right. So there you have it.
Yep, there's our weather. So it's going to be a little bit more rainy today. So keep your umbrellas handy.
Yes. But it's always nice to get a little bit of showers after a very hot day. And yesterday was a very, very hot day.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
But we have to get into our show for this morning, and we have 3 packed segments for you all today. Our first conversation will be with Dr. Osman Martinez, the CEO of Ministry of Economic Development and Investment. We'll be discussing updates on poverty, economic changes, and social development in Belize.
And for our second conversation, it's super exciting. KTV The Remix is back, and we're going to be talking all about it. The show is actually premiering later today. And some of the judges, as well as the host, is going to be joining us this morning to give us insight into all about this new season, and that's going to be our second conversation.
I'm so excited for KTV. Our third segment is going to be all about the Belize U-20 Junior Championship, and we're going to have the president from the Athletics Association to talk to us more about congratulating the athletes on their last junior championship. So that should be a great conversation as well.
And because it is Tuesday, right before we wrap up, I'm going to be talking about some trending topics because it is Trending Talks Tuesday. So that's going to be right before we wrap up, and that's going to be our final segment.
Awesome. But before we get into all of that, of course, we're going to take our first break, and we will be right back. Stay tuned.
Keep still now.
Ouch.
I tell you no move.
Wow. You really can't get a mannequin for this, man? Really?
Well, son, if I never lend you the $2,000 to buy the kids' computer and the book, I may have the money for buy my mannequin.
It's definitely better to borrow from the bank than from your friends or relatives. This way, all you owe is money.
Would you like me to turn around?
That would be good. Turn on, turn on, turn on.
Take advantage of the back-to-school promotion currently being offered by the Belize Bank.
With the touch of a finger, we can easily unlock our phones and securely gain access to our data. This technology is called biometrics, and the Social Security Board is introducing fingerprint recognition to make transactions and handling of your sensitive data secure, fast, accurate, and convenient. Is your identity safe? Fingerprint recognition will keep your Social Security record secure and confidential while making your access fast and easy. It protects your identity. Is your name a common one? Fingerprint recognition uses your unique characteristics, ensuring your hard-earned benefits go directly to you, the rightful owner. Tired of all the paperwork? Fingerprinting makes this hassle-free. Your convenience and your information security is our priority.
Fingerprint recognition is here. Social Security at your fingertips.
I'm always on the go, and the country is my home. So when I want to get away from it all, I immerse myself with my favorite movies, all from the new Smart Stream app. It's easy to use this service. Purchase your movies from the app and use your mobile data. Smart Stream data packages or smart broadband to stream and enjoy. Be like me and stream on the go with Smart Stream.
After 2 long years, the wait is finally over. On Tuesday, July 5th, your Tuesday night entertainment is back.
KTV.
KTV The Remix Season 4 kicks off with the audition show on Channel 5 at 8 p.m. Tune in to see who is hoping to sing their way into your hearts and walk away with the top prize. Then, on Tuesday, July 12th, we go live. And the best seat is at the Bliss. Come on out and win fabulous prizes and the chance to compete in our halftime challenge. Tickets are available at Channel 5 on Coney Drive at $3 for children and $5 for adults. Mask will be required. Or you can watch it live on Channel 5 or streaming on Facebook. The show starts at 8 p.m. at the Bliss Center for the Performing Arts. KTV The Remix Season 4. It's hot, it's live, and it's only on 5.
Good morning, and we're back. We're back with Dr. Osman Martinez, the CEO of the Ministry of Economic Development and Investment. Good morning, Doc. How are you?
Good morning. I'm well, and you?
Well, you know, Doc said he's busy but having fun.
Yes.
And I never heard that term before.
I enjoy what I do.
Okay. So let's get right into it, Doc. The economic development of Belize. Before we get into all of that, I know you went with the PM to Lisbon. Can you please give us a recap of how that trip was and what was discussed?
Well, first of all, we stopped in Brussels. And in Brussels, it is very important to note that the Honorable Prime Minister, John Briceño, was invited to speak at the European Development Day, EDD, you know? And he's the first Prime Minister of Belize that has ever been invited to speak at that forum. So that is huge for Belize. Why is huge? One, because the European Union is the biggest, well, not only the biggest, it's the only organization that gives grants to Belize. Over the last 30 years, the European Union has given to Belize around 500 million US dollars. And that is big.
Yeah.
You know, and in the last 10 years, the relation between Belize and the European Union was fractured to the point that the European Union, they weren't happy in Belize anymore. And now they are not only happy, they are inviting our PM to speak on their biggest forum that they have in Europe. So that is very important. Secondly, we had the opportunity to speak with the European Investment Bank. If you are aware, presently we have issues whereby the way how inflation is being controlled or is being planned to be controlled is by increasing the interest rates for countries and consumers. So for countries like Belize that are in the developing stage, and more important, whereby our interest rates are already high for investors and consumers, higher interest rates are not the answer to inflation. And working well with the European Investment Bank, we look at options such as climate finance, line of credits with DFC, to develop line of credits with DFC. 3, to look at concessionary loans. You know, when we speak about concessionary loans, interest rate may be like 0.01 yet percent, less than 0.5%. We also look at opportunities to see how we can have more source of funds and financing at low interest costs for the private sector. Because the private sector is the one who should be driving our economic growth, not the government. The government is not an entrepreneur and should never be an entrepreneur. The government is there to put the proper policies in place to enable a friendly environment for investors. So that trip was excellent. One, because like I said before, never before a Prime Minister of Belize have been invited. And secondly, because the European Union wants to hear about Belize's blue bond transaction, which is the only transaction that has been done in the world. And the Swiss environmental finance have described it as a unique transaction and one that most countries want to hear about and want to learn from, especially countries that are in the same situation as Belize, you know, where there was high debt to GDP, where there was high unemployment, high poverty, and where the debt, the sovereign debt, is unsustainable. So then we went to Lisbon. In Lisbon we had, but before we went to Lisbon, the Prime Minister was also, the EU has committed 17 million euros to Belize, which is almost between 36 and 40 million Belize, which we will start, we should start with implementation in sometime next year, anywhere between January and June of next year. And the main purpose of that fund, or of the source of those fundings, well, is the EU, but the main objective and outcome is to help in the southern part of the country with green economy, sustainable green economy. Okay, and the objectives are to help to reduce poverty, help to generate employment and education.
How do you plan to do that with those funds? What are the projects that you're planning to do?
Well, we have two ministries that has been assigned right now to work hand in hand with to develop a preliminary plan, and one is the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, and the other one is the Ministry of Rural Transformation. Ministry of Foreign Affairs is looking more at the trade aspect. Remember, in the southern part of the country, there is a lot of informal market in terms of trade. So there is trade between Belize and Guatemala, and it is not recorded. Okay, and then from the Ministry of Rural Transformation, we are, well, they have put some points out. One is to help the MSMEs, the small agro producers. So, for example, the rice producers. Rice was the big deal in the south in the past. Now it will be the big deal again. You know, so but there are more. What about added value products?
Yeah.
You know, so these are opportunities that are coming by. However, the European Union, they also brought their own consultant. Their own consultant was here to also conduct some studies and to look at the opportunities that we can explore in the southern part of the country. So, and while we were in Brussels, the PM also had the opportunity to witness a signing between the EU and the EIB, which is the European Investment Bank, on a signing, I believe it's about 20 million euros, to help the Caribbean to protect the oceans. You know, we're looking for healthy oceans. We have issues with sargassum. We have issues with where our corals are dying. We need to protect our barrier reefs. We need to protect our corals. There is a lot of erosion, coastal erosion. And so there are a lot of issues that are aligned with the impact of climate change. And the Caribbean is highly vulnerable to climate change. When you look, for example, at Belize, Belize is ranked around 8th or 7th in the world, where it shows that Belize is a country that is highly vulnerable to climate change, and is 7 out of 192 countries. So we are in the top 10.
Yeah. I wanted to go back to something that you mentioned quite earlier in your first statement about inflation and the process of how we are able to we're able to survive our lifestyle, right, with this inflation. So, two things. Is it possible then that, well, we shouldn't really be taking out much loans as a civilian? We shouldn't be taking out more loans because that won't help us either. So, if you're pushing private sector to build the economy of Belize, and we are getting all of these the different funding from these different sources, how are you planning to monitor the funds with your projects, and how are you planning to reduce the interest rates of civilians that have obtained loans to the bank?
It's the first question is looking at at civilians, as you have described it. When you look at households, which is an impact of the microeconomics, it's a little bit more difficult for the government to monitor and to work in terms of regulating the interest rate. Why? Because there is a competition within banks, and so it becomes a little bit difficult in that aspect. But in terms of government, government loans that are controlled by the public sector, the government it becomes a little bit much easier for the government to do it. And what we need to do, and what previous governments has failed to do, is to invest on sustainable projects that will have equal or a larger return than what was invested. Because you have two types of investments within the public service or within government. One is debt investment, which you invest, you get the country into a debt, taxpayers have to pay back, but that project will never give you $1 in return. And you have sustainable investments. Some people would say wise investments, or some economists, wise investments. So say, for example, I will give you an example. Look, for example, at North Ambergris-Key. It's an area that is underdeveloped. But if the government would pump some money into the development of Ambergris-Key, in the North Ambergris-Key, who are the ones who will benefit? First of all, you will see research starts to go up. There will be more tourists, and that means more US currency. So the returns are high. Okay. What if I only build a building and I give a building away as a museum, but I don't charge $1 to go into that museum? Then that investment was just like a donation, so it's a dead investment. So that is the part where government have to be very wise in terms of investing on projects that are sustainable.
And I also wanted to talk about something you mentioned earlier, when you mentioned our debt to GDP ratio, where it was. Perhaps, for some of our viewers, you could explain sort of what that really means in practical terms, and how, where we are today, and what are the plans to sort of improve where we are.
Well, the debt to GDP, say for example, when the Briseño administration took over, it was at 133%. So what does that mean? Say for example, So for example, I generate $100 per week, but my expenses are 133. Okay, so that means that I have to borrow 33 to cover my expenses every week. And that is where the government was. They were borrowing $1 million every day. You know why? Because it was important to cover the 33 that you had as deficit. So the debt to GDP is very important to have it into a sustainable path. So what is a sustainable path? It should be 60% debt to GDP, and I will tell you why. Why? Because if I'm getting $100 a week, but after I pay my utility bills, I bring in home food and everything, my expenses are $60. So I have $40.
Yeah.
Right? With this $40, no, I can maybe send my kids to a private school. Maybe I can send my kids to a private health system. Maybe I can improve my own security at home. I can start to transform my own house in doing some landscape, and the house will look much better. That is the same thing with the government. I mean, when your debt to GDP is too high, the fiscal space, there is no fiscal space, which means when someone asks you for scholarships, when someone asks you for free education, when someone asks you to improve the health system, citizen security, infrastructure, to improve the public service, it becomes a challenge because there is no fiscal space. And a lot of times, some people believe that the government only prints money. You know, but government does not print money. Government survive out of the revenues that are being collected from tax. And if they are not well and properly managed, then there will not be, we won't have a good health system, citizen security, infrastructural development, reduction of poverty, protecting the vulnerable population, is setting proper safety nets for the most vulnerable people. So this is the issue when your debt to GDP is high. No?
You said something that kind of struck me when you mentioned that increasing taxes does not help inflation. So speak to us about how taxes function in our society, and why is it that we are not able to afford a raise of tax?
There is the laughter curve, which we learned in economics, that the higher the tax, actually there is a decrease on revenues for government. So if you were to increase tax to increase revenues for government, actually governments may end up collecting less revenues. Okay? Why? Because people would look at other options. One is contraband. Okay? So, for example, people that are living near the borders and everything would say, you know what, it's too expensive.
But we already have that problem now.
We already have it,
yes.
Exactly. We have, but it would increase. You know? So that is one problem. Two is that there will be, for example, what we experience in Belize, when you look at Pampers that are original and Pampers that are not original, then you end up getting a lot of fake products, maybe at a lower cost, you know. And so the optics of what we use and wear becomes of less quality. Okay, so that. But I was referring a little bit earlier on the increase of interest rates on the banks.
Okay.
Okay. Once there is an increase of interest rates on the banks, it will help. For example, in mega economies such as the United States, whereby there is billions of dollars that are being circulated almost monthly, you know. Yeah. And so when there is an issue with interest rate, and Europe, you know, Europe is the same way. When there is an increase in interest rate, what people do is they stop borrow. Okay, so stop borrow, or they will hold on purchasing of technology, of goods, for a period of time until the interest goes down. But during that time, what will happen is that because COVID has created a disruptive, it has created a supply chain disruptive, you know? Our supply chain is disruptive because of COVID-19. So for example, right now, if you want a vehicle, you go to any one of the dealers and you will place your order and probably you will have to pay no or maybe not, and it will take 3 to 4 months before it gets to Belize. So this is the simple formula of demand and supply. Once the demand is high, the price will more than likely be high. And this is one of the things that we are seeing because there is a disruptive supply chain system because of COVID. No, this is the problem. No, if there is less money in circulation, then it will help in terms of the demand. The demand will decrease. And what economists are doing, for example, internationally, is to see how we can find a point of equilibrium, okay, whereby now the supply and demand will find that point of equilibrium and normalize the supply chain to where it was just before the pandemic.
I wanted to get more into the process of taxation, just because as of today we have another increase in fuel price, right? So speak to us and to our viewers about how these prices, the tax of prices, are selected in these resources.
Right.
How is it that we're able to increase the price of fuel, but probably not increase the cost of Lala milk? What is? I know it's a big difference in resource, right? But when it comes to why is it that now we're not able to, you know, we have to pay more for fuel, but the standard cost of a particular resource stays the same?
Right. Now, in terms of fuel, you know, for example, in diesel, the government is consuming almost all the tax, meaning that government is not making any tax from diesel. All right, it's I think 0.01%, but it's almost nothing. Okay, regular is also adjusted, premium is also adjusted. So government is also losing revenues, but this is being caused because the increase on fuel prices is a global issue. It's not only Belize.
Right.
For example, the United States today is almost at $6 US, something that you have never seen before. You know, so 6 US is 12 Belize.
Yeah.
You know, and some parts is about 650, between 5 and 650 US. You know, from the numbers I was looking at today. So we have a global issue, a global problem, and the method that is being used to control inflation is also a method that is being used to, well, the objective of that method is to see if there will be a system that can help us to flatten the curve in terms of the price of fuel. The most difficult part for Belize and any government that imports fuel is that fuel is controlled by the global market, not by a country. The only power that a country like Belize has is to control the tax that the fuel has. And countries like Belize, for example, 20% of almost 15 to 20% of revenues, tax revenues, comes from fuel. So, which means that now the government is in serious constraint when they are not making the money that they should be making from fuels, because there are subsidies. For example, diesel is almost fully subsidized, you know. And so, and the government have other challenges, because as 1st of July, there is the return of the 10% salary to the employee.
Right. So that goes back to, it kind of goes back to my first initial question. The increase of something as high in demand as fuel. I don't know if you have those statistics with you as to how many people actually buy fuel daily, weekly, or monthly. But do you believe that one that is that's helping. And then two, our cost of living, you know, I don't know about Gavin, but like my salaries will stay the same as all of these other resources will continue to increase. So for somebody like me that travels from point A to point B on a daily, does that mean that I will have to quit my job? Will the public transportation prices remain the same? How are we planning to get behind this?
And that's a very good question. His salary got increased.
That's why he knows said nothing, right?
That's why he's not complaining. Now, when we look at the purchasing power parity in Belize, it is actually half, you know, and it's what you're saying. No? And again, you know, one of the biggest problem that we have in Belize is that we are not a productive country. We import everything, so the external shocks affects us right away. We import 53% of everything that we consume. 53%, meaning that we are also importing inflation. We import whatever is good and whatever is bad. So right now, if you go online and you decide to purchase a laptop, and the laptop was 10% more expensive than last year, you bring that into the country, and then if you want to resell, you will make sure that you get back your money. All right, so you add the 10% to the consumer, and that is one of the biggest challenges that we have. In terms of what we produce, I'll give you an example. Mari Sharp, have you seen an increase in Mari Sharp? Because we produce it locally. And as is, you know, I think Mari Sharp has been innovative because there are some other things that could have increased within the elements and ingredients that they're using, but it's not affecting us. It's the same price. When you look, for example, at our vegetables that we produce in Belize, you know, even though fertilizer has increased by 300% in the international market, our farmers are doing their best, you know, in doing organic system, and even to keep the price low, you know. So what we produce locally does not have the same shock in terms of inflation as what we are importing into Belize.
So then why are we importing certain resources that we produce and manufacture here at home? So for example, vegetables, right? For those that we have here, we grow here, you said that the price doesn't increase,
right?
But we still import certain produce.
Right.
And I can't tell the difference between the potato that is imported versus the potato that is produced here. So then how will I be made aware of the difference in the importation product versus the one that is locally manufactured here?
Yeah. Two things. Before I answer that question, the first part I want to say is that it's not that we should be taking advantage of our small farmers in Belize. You know, I believe that the minute they are not sustainable and they go out of business, we will be in trouble. And in referring to your question, is we're not producing enough yet for Belize. One is that Belize our agro-productive sectors need more science and technology, whereby we will be able to produce 12 months per year, 52 weeks, 365 days per year. We need to move to that level. Why? Because right now it's seasonal. So right now everyone produces tomatoes and sweet pepper around the end of March, beginning of April, and you see tomatoes and sweet pepper everywhere. We need to move now where we can be able to produce every day, okay, locally. So it's seasonal presently because we're still lack of science and technology. Okay, so that is the issue that you see when there is not enough supply locally. Then the Ministry of Agriculture will make certain arrangements to import products that are needed in Belize.
And we've been talking a lot about the, I guess, private sector and stuff. But we can shift gears a little bit and also talk about the public sector investment program. Could you give us our viewers an overview of what that's about and how it's going?
Okay, the public sector investment program, when we got into, well, I was transferred into the Ministry of Economic Development on May 10th of last year, so it's a little bit over a year. One of the shocking things that I found it was that we had about $1.5 billion, 1.5 billion, B for Belize, no? $billion sitting down from 2010 on projects that were not implemented. Today I'm happy to say that when we compare our expenditures now and implementation process in comparison to last year, and that is Q1, which is Q1 of the year, January to March, we have increased spending by 7.25%, which represent about yet more $1 million. So we went about from $42 million that we spent it in Q1, which is Q1, and now it's about around $54-56 million. But what is more interesting is, forget 2020, that was the year of the pandemic. When we look at 2019, we have increased spending when we compare 2022 to 2019 by almost a 30%, 13.65%, and that is very important for Belize, no? Because that definitely helped us a lot. But what we're seeing here is the gross domestic products, how it has increased as well. It has the highest on Q1, actually a 5.3 increase. I mean, when you look at 2019, it was at 1.1 yet. Now it is at $1.21 million, which again is shows that the government is doing a lot, especially in the agro-productive sector and tourism.
Okay.
But one of the things that Belize have really done well in the last year or 2 years is with the BPOs.
Okay.
You know, and they generate a lot of job, and it's like generating a foreign job. Belizean working abroad because they're being paid with foreign currency. I mean, they may not necessarily see the US dollar, but they will definitely see, it's monies that are coming from external partners.
So we're quickly running out of time, but the last thing I want to touch on is your newfound appointment to the constituency of as the director of the CDB Bank. Speak to us about your role there, your new role there, and what are your plans?
Well, you know, I think it's a blessing that first of all I can be the executive director of Belize to CDB, because then I have the privilege and the opportunity to fight for the interests of Belize and all Belizeans, no? In terms of all the opportunities that a banks can offer. One is technical support, concessionary loans, climate finance, and keep fighting for all the capital losses that Belize have had due to climate change. But to represent 5 countries, no, it is quite an honor because yes, you know, Belize is
top priority.
Is the top priority for me, you know. But no, we have the opportunity to expand our networks and opportunities with our with the other 4 countries in the region. And my main objective, one, is to see how we can fight for concessionary loans, 2, grants, 3, technical support, 4, how we can develop some lines of credit to the private sector with low financing, you know, low cost finance. And 5, there is a very important, and I'm passionate about it, and I think it had set me, I'm privileged, and I'm set in a privileged position to fight for academia, for academia to be more integrated in terms of research and development, and to help the region, not only Belize, but the region, and to grow into a sustainable economic path. So, for example, science and technology, as we spoke in the agro-productive, but also research and development.
Yeah, research and development. It's not something that's properly implemented in Belize.
In the region.
in the region. Right. Any final words for our viewers, Dr. Martinez, before we close?
Well, I just want to say that, that I thank God every day because I feel that I'm blessed, but we all are blessed out there, in our own ways. And while working at the government of Belize, I have seen the needs, that the Belizean people have, and how we were neglected, even though there are so many opportunities that were there. To rest assured that one of my main priorities and the PM's priorities within my ministry, in this case, the economic development, but for him as a salvation of the government, is to reduce poverty. If we do not reduce poverty, then we will fail. And every government before us have failed in terms of reducing poverty. And for us to reduce poverty, we need to do much better in education, which is one of the things that I have to give kudos to the Minister, Honorable Fonseca and Honorable Savani, where they are actually working on a curriculum reform, to close the gaps that the gaps on the demands of jobs that we have from both the private and international demand. But overall, inflation is a serious issue. I know that it's affecting each and every one of us, and that we will do everything that is within our power to see how we can mitigate that second pandemic, because it's another pandemic that we have.
Well, Dr. Martinez, thank you so much for coming in and sharing our thoughts and discussed a wide range of topics. Sure we'll have to have you back in the future to have another chat like this. So thanks once again. With that, we'll be taking a very short break. And when we come back, we'll be shifting gears and talking all about the premiere of KTV The Remix. So please stay tuned and we'll be right back.
Technology is ubiquitous, and it's transforming how, when, and where we work. Full-Tech Systems is placing award-winning devices in the hands of information workers, allowing them to work without compromise in a world without wires, to innovate, create, and to maximize productivity anytime, anywhere, satisfying the needs of the desk-centric remote and field worker and every other worker in between. We are providing the industry's best devices to businesses going through the process of digital transformation. Partner with us today to provide the solutions that will allow your employees to work effectively and efficiently to enhance your customers' experience. Full-Tech Systems, your technology center, where you'll come for the price but stay for the service.
I'm on my way to Belize, where I can get what I need and save some money. After 75 years in the business, nobody do it like Belize. Hello, how may I help you? Anything you need, we got you. Whether it tools or tiles, lights and fans, we are serving with a smile. Genuine plumbing and electric supply, quality construction supply, heating and air condition, 100% Belizean. Belize, celebrating 75 years. Quality and savings, quality and savings. Belize, celebrating 75 years. Quality and savings, quality and savings. Belize, celebrating 75 years. Quality and savings. Quality and savings.
Across the world, fuel prices continue to rise. with some states in the U.S. recording prices of $7 to $9 per gallon. The lingering effects of the COVID pandemic and now the war between Russia and the Ukraine have resulted in worldwide inflation. This government understands the impacts of those rising costs on our people. We have capped the prices of diesel and regular at $13.50 per gallon and have subsidized our transport sectors and bakers. We are working with our private sector and our public watchdog agency to crack down on price gouging and to alleviate rising costs of goods. We will continue to find innovative ways to help our people. Your input is important. Thank you for believing in us. Together, we will deliver on Plan Belize.
You want a mobile service provider that allows you to stay connected with fast, reliable LTE coverage anytime, anywhere. Whether it's just to catch up with family, to share that experience with your one special friend, or to manage your small business. Whatever's your thing, you deserve to have the best mobile experience. Now you can do even more while on the go with the increased anytime data allowance in Digi's mobile postpaid plans. You now enjoy 8 gigs of anytime data starting at only $55 monthly. Or share up to 120 gigs of anytime data with up to 6 of your closest friends. That's more LTE data for you to enjoy during the day, nights, and weekends. No restrictions. So keep your gigs up with more data plus unlimited talk and text in all Digi postpaid plans. Visit a Digi store near you to sign up today. All you need is a valid ID and proof of address. It's time to get on Belize's fastest mobile 4G LTE advanced network. Visit livedigi.com to find out more or hit us up on WhatsApp or Facebook. Digi, our national telecom.
After 2 long years, the wait is finally over. On Tuesday, July 5th, your Tuesday night entertainment is back.
KTV!
KTV The Remix Season 4 kicks off with the audition show on Channel 5 at 8 p.m. Tune in to see who is hoping to sing their way into your hearts and walk away with the top prize. Then, on Tuesday, July 12th, we go live. And the best seat is at the Bliss. Come on out and win fabulous prizes and the chance to compete in our halftime challenge. Tickets are available at Channel 5 on Coney Drive at $3 for children and $5 for adults. Mask will be required. Or you can watch it live on Channel 5 or streaming on Facebook. The show starts at 8 p.m. at the Bliss Center for the Performing Arts. KTV The Remix Season 4 is hot, it's live, and it's only on 5.
And we're back. And if you're joining us right now, we're just getting our second conversation for this morning started. And as we mentioned before the break, super exciting news. We're talking about the premiere of KTV The Remix. And here to talk all about it, we have one of the judges right here in our studio. We have Chris Bradshaw. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good
morning, Belize.
Yeah. So, KTV, The Remix, it's back.
Yes.
How would it feel?
It's kind of exciting. I mean, because I remember before the COVID hit, we were just getting ready to start, the KTV for that year. Mm-hmm. And I think there was this new thing we were going around to do auditions. And it was just, I think, my night to do auditions, my turn. And there was this lockdown. So, they told us ease off. And
yeah. So how does it feel to be back?
Exciting. I think, it's one of the reasons why I find it exciting is that I know it's something that there's a whole group of people in Belize who were looking forward to. So I find that.
and of course, you've been part of the show before, so it must be good to be back at it, especially after the break. Right?
Yes, it's a good experience for the most part. Yes.
For the most part, I don't want to make you emphasize a little bit more on that. But so you are one of 3 judges.
Right.
Talk to us about how the auditions went. I mean, I know you can't really tell me anything in terms of who's selected, but talk to us about how the auditions went and how you all select the persons that are going to be on the main stage.
Okay, so the auditions went pretty well. We got, enough people that we could have chosen the amount that we needed, and from the lineup that we had, we had some people who, obviously, as soon as they come on, that you're definitely going to make it from the standards that they perform and such, the way they perform. And there are others that were kind of iffy, and you have to deliberate about them and stuff, why you might want them on the show and whatever else. But during the auditions, we usually give feedback, and we usually it's not long. You have people standing there. You just tell them the basic things. Normally, we look at the quality of your actual of the art, the way you represent the art itself, the art of singing. And so you look at the technical aspects of it, but we also look at your performance, the way you would be able to excite a crowd, for example, because that is a major part, right, a big part of this particular art. It has to do with how much crowd appeal you can get and whatever else.
And did we see a lot of variety in the auditions in terms of musical styles, maybe like young age, like what can we kind of expect?
Yes, we saw a wide variety of genres being performed, and we had in both of the major languages that are used in Belize, English and Spanish, and a few of the Latino performers too who came out to audition.
Do you think we have a good selection of people from all over the country, or mainly geared towards Belize City?
Yes, we do. We were kind of worried about that on the first day because the auditions ran a Saturday and a Sunday. And I think on the Saturday, we weren't getting as much of that variety from all around the country. But by Sunday, we got people from all over.
Can you give us at least like a number of how many people auditioned?
I think it was about 20 that auditioned. Wow. I think about 20 people.
How many did you have to select for?
Well, I don't know that I'm at liberty to say that yet.
Okay, we have to find out.
Yes, so we'll find that out later on. Yes.
I wanted to ask about, because I know that it was just an open call, right? Anybody could come in and anybody.
As long as you're over 16.
Right.
16, yeah.
But I always pictured that there would be a long line standing outside of the studio. But was it one by one?
This particular year, it was a little bit of the one by ones coming in every now and then. You'd have maybe 2 people out there. But in years gone by, we have had lines. And I think it will get back to that eventually. But after what was it, 2 years break?
Yeah.
Yes.
2 years.
So,
so I want to bring in Mr. William Neal, the one and only famous veteran judge extraordinaire of KTV. Good morning.
Good morning, April. Good morning, Gavin, and good morning, Chris.
Morning, William.
The beautiful day. I'm all the way down south, so if you get a little break, it's because of the weather, of course. But I'm excited for the start of KTV Remix Season 4.
There is no KTV without William Neal.
Thank you, April.
No, but I was a little bit worried because they weren't telling us anything, and I said, who will be the host? And everybody say, have to be William. I'm like, but I don't hear nothing. And so when they said it would be William, I said, yeah, that makes sense. It has to be William. So how are you, how are you feeling about KTV, the remix being back?
You know, this is one of those things where Tuesday nights, it's like date night, and it hasn't been happening. So it's a lot of fun because you encounter a lot of people out on the road, on the streets, and they're asking just, will KTV be back? And I think people like the fact that it showcases Belizeans, even though they're not original songs. It's an opportunity to see what talents are out there. And we've seen quite a number of Belizean artists come through the platform that KTV and all the shows from Channel 5 offer. So I think that's the important thing, that you get to peep the talent that is out there, as Chris was talking about, and you get to see them grow. That's the main thing, because Belizeans can be very savage, right? But they can be also very honest. And I think that feedback on a weekly basis pushes a lot of the artists to really do better and to up their game. And it's not always about how perfect your voice is. It's also about how hard you work and whether you can keep a crowd engaged.
And speaking of the crowd, I often tell people, if you haven't gone to see a live show, the crowd or the audience is almost like a character in and of itself. Just so, and I say,
are you referring to Miss Hearteds?
Yes, absolutely. Yes. No, we have the characters. Yeah. Can you talk a little bit about what the actual, especially being the host, what the interaction is like with the crowd who actually comes out to the show, and what that experience is like?
I think it's a delicate dance between the two audiences, those at home and those at the Bliss. What the Bliss audience does is that they give you that instant feedback, while people on social media and everywhere else is, more thoughtful. They are more responsive just emotionally, because you can't deny that any art makes you feel, and it's that feeling that you try to create in people. It's a magic. And I think that's the thing that the crowd experiences when you go to a KTV show. I know Gavin would come on a regular basis, and that there's nothing like being there, because you get to see things that you never see on television. So that's the advantage, of course. And I think Chris can attest that even the judges get heckled. Fortunately, I am kind of like the ringmaster, so but it's a lot of fun. The energy in the place is always amazing, and that's something that any performer thrives from or on.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned the judges aspect with the audience, that relationship, because I was going to ask Chris, how do you navigate what the crowd is asking for versus how you are supposed to be judging, right? Because I assume that you know what you're looking for as your judges. You understand the maths, I want to say, behind certain performances. So how do you navigate doing your job versus, the crowd will tell you, you don't know what to talk about, Mr. Grimshaw, Bradshaw, sorry, go there, How do you navigate that?
Yes, well, I do hear what the crowd is saying, but at the same time, I have to stay true to what I'm doing, because as there's a certain light and airy, a jovial aspect to the whole KTV thing also. I mean, it's not something that's gonna win you millions, or it's a life and death situation. However, at the same time, like William was saying, there are artists there who are trying to test the waters, and you want them to get a true picture of what they really need to see in their performance. And so I try to stay true to that. Even though I'm hearing what the audience is saying, I try to make sure I'm telling them something that can make them better for the next week to come on. So
yeah, I think I've never actually been to a live show. I am an avid TV viewer. Yes. So I know how we behave when we're at home.
Yes.
So I could just imagine how Gavin would be judging from the audience. But talk to us about what you are most excited to see in this season, and how you think it's going to be different from the other seasons.
I think I'm most excited to see the whole transition from when people come on to KTV, especially for the first time. Some of them you don't know what to expect. Some of them have never been in front of that big an audience before in their lives, and so the first night is kind of like a shocker, a little bit of a shocker. And how they deal with that is very important in the way they'll go on. But just seeing them mature. And you watch the ones, there's some of them will fall out by the wayside. Obviously they can't stand the pressure and whatever else, but those who mature and go right out to the end, you see that transition and that growth. That is what I'm excited about, to see that end product.
And yourself, Neil?
I think, it's a similar kind of thing, because people actually, you see the evolution, the rapid change in the people as they come on stage. And you never know, there's that X factor, there's a certain je ne sais quoi that people have that you can't quite quantify, but that ability to connect with people. And sometimes coming to an audition, I know for me, I love live television. When I have to talk to 10 people in a room, I am nervous. When I have to be on live television, I'm nervous. But something about the audience, looking at them, the deer in the headlight feeling goes away really rapidly, because you're getting that feedback immediately. 10 people, you're there, you're worried, you're nervous, but it doesn't necessarily propel you the same way that a live audience does. And I think all the people that we've seen on KTV over the years, you can tell after a while when it clicks, because some people come in and they think they're one thing, and then they start realizing, well, I am not that thing. I have to be something else if I want to make it in this business. And that's the beautiful thing about it. And it becomes really a supportive environment. At one time, KTV itself was very, very competitive and kind of, for the lack of a better way of saying it, kind of catty in the background. But you've really seen, especially with social media and the feedback that people get there, you see them bonding more together, and they support each other. And I think the conversations with the judges off and on the stage really helps them, because they know they're getting honest feedback, and that's the key thing. It's the feedback that makes us grow, and it has to be uncomfortable or you won't grow.
And actually, I was actually going to ask a little bit about that from your perspective as a judge. And you did mention it a little bit earlier, but how do you see yourself sort of helping the artists, develop as artists, in your role as a judge? Like, how do you approach your, let's say, critiques and things like that?
All right, like I said, I try to be as true as possible to the art. A lot of times, these people who are coming into as contestants, they've never had lessons with any vocal trainer or anything like that. So I feel like this is giving them an opportunity to see, on the surface, what it's like to get instructions in what you're doing. I remember growing up, I had never before, as a young kid, had any saxophone teacher, for example. Got my first saxophone, got that set up, started trying to play. It wasn't until I got my first teacher that I really, started understanding some of the problems that I was having and how to get over them, or how to get around the hurdles, in a way. And so that is how I approach it.
I think we're quickly winding down, but anything else that we can expect from KTV The Remix before it starts?
Well, just as in former years, you can expect excitement. A lot of people disagree with some things that the judges have to say, but just remember that in the end...
Always disagree with the judges.
Yes, but we are not the ones who put them in the positions that they are. We're just there to try to help them to get better at what they do.
And who else is on the panel?
Who else is on the panel? Well, right now, Jenny's there.
Jenny's
love
it, Jenny.
Yeah. We have a third judge, but I am not certain if he has been publicized.
So we have to wait.
I don't know. I'm not sure if it's supposed to be a surprise or what. So I'm not.
We're not giving it to
I'm going to tell you yet. But there is a third judge.
One final thing I'd like to say with regards to what Chris says. And I think, April, you guys asked a question earlier about diversity within the show. And I think that's a key thing because, you know, you have some people who are more exposed to social media. And so their response has always been there. But, you know, they don't necessarily have the personality yet to actually deal with a live audience. Because being in a controlled environment, it's like being a fish in an aquarium and then putting you in the sea.
Yeah.
There's a huge difference, right? And I think that's the thing that happens here, that when you put them on stage, the dynamics push you in a different way. There's good nervousness, and I always tell people, when you are no longer nervous, you know, that's worrisome because that means that you think you have it all, right? So I think there's a good sense of nervousness because they're afraid of what the judges will say, they're afraid of what the audience will say, they're afraid of social media, but you have to push through those things. And I think most of our contestants do that, and when they do that, they realize that they have more skills than they ever thought that they even had. And I think that's the beautiful thing about KTV and these shows that Channel 5 champions in terms of live television, because people get an opportunity to really see, coming back to what I was saying about generational divide, because you don't always know the young upcoming artists for most of the judges, but that's an opportunity to really wow them, you know, because sometimes the biases that you may have, like some people are bothered by the fact that some people come back every year. To me, that's dedication, you know, because you have to put in the work. Somebody who's new and coming in, they also are bringing a certain X factor as well. So you need all of those dynamics within the diversity because they push each other. You know, some want to work with somebody with the experience, and there's a mentoring component within the show. And I think that's good. But there's also this opportunity for you to really stretch out in your skin vocally and in so many other ways, because it's even about how you look. You know, you can't show up, or you shouldn't show up, you know, in flip-flops and, you know, your yard clothes. Some people do that for auditions, and then they realize, based on the feedback that they get from people, like, that's how you go on TV, you know, that kind of thing. So it's a number of factors that you have to take into consideration as a performer. And at the same time, it's remaining professional and graceful, not arrogant, but confident. And I think those are the things that people learn over the time, that, you know, you have to take the good with the bad. When people meet you on the street, not everybody's going to like you, but not everybody's going to hate you either. So it's how you balance all of that to become really a stellar performer and something to figure out if this is something that you want to do for the rest of your life.
Well, Neil, William and Chris, you know, we're so happy to have you both being a part of KTV, the remix. I have to say the remix because it's very different from KTV. And I can't wait to see the audition tape should come out tonight, right? After news? Yeah, right. So that should be exciting. And my favorite part, watching the auditions. That's my favorite part. And then we'll be tuning into the opening of the season. So see William be the host and to see Chris as part of the judge panel. Thank you both so much for being here with us this morning. William, enjoy the rain down south. And
thank you.
Yes, thank you so much, Chris, for being here with us in studio. And with that, we are going to take another break. And when we get back, the Belize U-20 Junior Championship. So stay tuned.
I'm always on the go, and the country is my home. So when I want to get away from it all, I immerse myself with my favorite movies, all from the new Smart Stream app. It's easy to use this service. Purchase your movies from the app and use your mobile data, Smart Stream data packages, or smart broadband to stream and enjoy. Be like me and stream on the go with Smart Stream.
BEL's annual primary school essay competition is here again. Standards 4, 5, and 6 students, it's time to get creative. Here's how you can participate. Your essay must be no more than 500 words and explain what BEL's Safety and Health Week theme means to you. Every life counts. Be responsible. Be alert. Buckle up. Obey safety rules. 12 prizes will be awarded. $2,000 for all schools with first place winners. A laptop plus $1,000 for first place winners. A laptop plus $750 for second place winners. A laptop plus $500 for third place winners. Standards 4, 5, and 6 students, submit your essays by Friday, July 8th, 2022 to safety@bel.com.bz. Visit BEL's Facebook page for more information on our annual primary school essay competition.
Your life just got a lot less complicated with Belize Bank contactless MasterCard debit card. Introducing our standard debit and MasterCard Platinum debit cards. Now you can make purchases anywhere MasterCard is accepted with one tap, pay and go. Your contactless card never has to leave your hands, especially in these times. And your card is embedded with multiple layers of security. Platinum card holders get to enjoy extra benefits like price protection, purchase protection, trip inconvenience, and luggage protection, just to name a few. Start enjoying a cashless lifestyle today with the Belize Bank.
After 2 long years, the wait is finally over. On Tuesday, July 5th, your Tuesday night entertainment is back. KTV The Remix Season 4 kicks off with the audition show on Channel 5 at 8 p.m. Tune in to see who is hoping to sing their way into your hearts and walk away with the top prize. Then, on Tuesday, July 12th, we go live. And the best seat is at the Bliss. Come on out and win fabulous prizes and the chance to compete in our halftime challenge. Tickets are available at Channel 5 on Coney Drive at $3 for children and $5 for adults. Mask will be required. Or you can watch it live on Channel 5 or streaming on Facebook. The show starts at 8 p.m. at the Bliss Center for the Performing Arts. KTV The Remix Season 4. It's hot, it's live, and it's only on 5. Are you looking for low-cost television advertising? Have we got a deal for you? Advertise on Channel 5's Daily Classifieds. Channel 5's Daily Classifieds is one of the most effective methods for introducing yourself and your business to the community. Use our Daily Classifieds to recruit employees, promote specials, promote your products or services, promote a business opportunity, increase traffic to your website, and advertise items you have for sale. Let us help you to save valuable time and money. Call us today at 280-0013 or visit us at our offices on Coney Drive to discuss how we can help your business grow affordably. Channel 5 Daily Classifieds. Advertise today.
Reduce your risk of viral illness like the flu or the coronavirus. Wash your hands frequently with soap and water or with an alcohol-based hand sanitizer. Cover your nose and mouth when coughing or sneezing with a tissue. Throw away, then wash hands immediately. Avoid close contact with anyone who has the cold or flu-like symptoms. If you become ill, please visit your doctor or nearest health center and share your travel history. A health and wellness message from your Ministry of Health.
We're back, and if you're tuning in, I know we're just getting our third segment for this morning started, and we are switching gears. We're joined by some junior athletes, or I should say junior champions, this morning. And we're here to talk about the Under-20 championships. And this morning, in our studio, we have Dion Sutherland, who is the president of the Athletics Association, as well as Mia Sylvester and Kirk Elrington, who have recently competed. And as we can see from their medals, so congrats first of all, and thank you for joining us.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Yes, so speak to us, Mr. Sutherland, about the Athletics Association and how you were able to garner young athletes such as Mia and Kirk to join in and showcase their talents.
Well, the Belize Athletics Association, as you know, is the premier association for anything athletics in the country. Our responsibility is to plan and execute athletic events. We do have a calendar of events, both local, regional, and international. When we speak to regional, we just attended the Central American Junior Championship. And unfortunately, we were supposed to go to the Senior Championship that happened last weekend. But due to the weather in Nicaragua, we opt for safety of our athletes. We opt to pass on that one. But these are two of the athletes that that did well in the junior competition. They have a few more junior years under their belt, so they'll be able to fill you in on their performances and on their training and abilities going forward.
All right, so Mia, talk to us about how you prepped and what you think is the most you took away from the U-20 championship.
Well, I work with a Cuban coach and she helps with my preparation plan. We do gym work, technique training, and this helped me to pick at the right time for the Central American Games. And when I went, what I took away the most was getting the record and hearing my name being called on the microphone for the record for shot put and get a new personal best for discus throwing.
Damn, my job. And Kirk?
Well, for my long jump, I did the same thing. I have a different coach, Mr. Fred Evans, but every evening it's workout without miss and just keep working towards it and improving the technique and skills towards the sport.
I want to get into a little bit of your history when it comes to your sport. What made you become, I don't want to say interested, but what kind of pushed you towards both your categories, and why do you think that more Belizean students or young adults should be involved in these kinds of championships or events, I should say?
Well, for me, I saw a friend did it, and I want to try it. And when I tried, I felt like it helped me release stress. It helped me push myself, because not many times you see someone spinning or doing shot put, not the most popular sport in Belize.
Yeah.
I hope it will become more popular. And many times young kids don't even know the sport shot put, neither discus. So I'm hoping in the future that more people try out for this sport and come future champions.
What caused your initial interest in those sports?
Well, Mr. Evans introduced me to this sport originally, and he noticed the skill that I had, power and agility and coordination. He said I could go find this sport. So I trusted his instinct and I followed, and now I work with the Cuban coach who got me even one step further.
Did you think that that was something that you initially thought you could do? I mean, like you rightfully mentioned, it's not a popular sport, especially in Belize. So how, that's why I asked about your training, right? So how do you prep for something like that? And do you think that there should be more initiative for this type of sport?
Well, initially I never knew I was going to make it this far in discus and shot put. So when we started off, it was like mostly technique, teaching me how to throw the ball, teaching me how to release the discus. And then as I got better, we upped the training. So we started doing more gym work for strength, more coordination, and go to more advanced techniques to help me go further in the sport.
Okay. And switching gears to Kirk, because it's definitely different from Mia.
Well, it's a completely different sport, so yes, it's different. But Mr. Evans is the same one who got me into it in the primary school. In primary school, they had the primary school national regionals, and Mr. Evans scouted me for almost all the events that I did because I was an all-rounder. But over the years, I decided that I like long jump, and then Mr. Evans advised me to do the triple jump as well. It took me a while to get used to the triple jump because it's a lot of technical work. But after a while, I decided I like both of them, so I'll stick to long jump and I'll stick to triple jump, and I just keep working on those. Same thing, gym work. It took me a while to get into gym work because, well, I'm not the bulkiest person, right? So, although I don't look it now, I can squat around 200 pounds or over, and I'm just working on that, keeping it steady.
And Mr. Sutherland, can you talk about the development, first of all, the importance of having our athletes compete in regional competitions, and also sort of how we're preparing them here on the ground for those types?
Well, it's difficult because I would say for one, it's very difficult, even more, two factors. With the pandemic since 2019, it's been very difficult to get people out to the track. Two, there's a lot of focus on academics in order to get back kids to that level that they were, especially in school. And maybe a third factor would be volunteers. It's difficult to get people out there on a regular basis to work with these kids. I mean, people like the idea of the kids going and medaling and looking good, and the country looks good, but they don't recognize the work it takes. Not on us as the executive, because we're not the ones out there with them on a daily basis. But when you have limited number of coaches, for example, like we have 2 Cuban coaches that the Olympic Committee brought in for us, and then we have Mr. Evans, who is out there every day. He's close to 80 years old. He's going down. But he still works with these kids on a daily basis. And so those factors and others make it very difficult to get kids interested. And with the primary school and the high school track or sporting program came into a halt during COVID, it's like 3 years. And that is where basically the association fed off those competitions for the primary and secondary, and then we scouted those athletes to bring them up into the program. So that has been a real stalemate for us over the years. What we have planned with our international body, the World Athletics, is that we had a program known as Talent Search. And that program was to happen last year, funded by World Athletics, that we would have gone into the different districts and have 2 days event whereby we look for young athletes between the age of 8 to 15 or 8 to 13, and then look at their abilities, their basic skills, and then bring them, try to work with them over a period of time. Because of COVID, again, we had to lax on that program, and so now we're looking to do that program. We wanted to do it for this summer, again, because of a lot of shift in dynamics with World Athletics. It doesn't look feasible for July, but it's something that we still want to, because we have to bring younger athletes into the fold in order to move them forward. But again, along with the athletes coming in, we always want people to volunteer their time. And of course, we are responsible to have these coaches program, technical programs and coaches program, so that people can have maybe a level 1, level 2 to be able to help these athletes. And I think what we are basically asking, and what we will be asking, is for, we're not asking you to be out there every day. But if we introduce you to this program, if we put all the funds and finances to get this program, then at least give us 2 days or 3 days out of the week to spend an hour with these kids to do what they have to do. And that is, in that way, 1, we'll have more athletes competing, and 2, we'll be able to have more events here, so that they can not only be prepared here, but be prepared to represent us better in regional and international competition. So basically, that is our projection forward, and we're hoping that not only those that are a part of athletics now would continue to feed, but those that see the interest or are interested in coming and saying, what, let me come out there and give an hour a week or 2 hours a week and come on board. We will be able to train you at least to that level where you feel competent enough to say, I will pass this skill on to these athletes.
How many athletes more or less are a part of the association that you train for the Olympic Games?
Well, for different levels of athletes and different numbers. For example, in total, including our infant and junior athletes, we're looking at over 200 athletes. Wow. 200. Well, I'm talking about overall, no, in different events. For example, we have a club in Placencia that has over 100 members, and that's just one club. So when you look at that and you put all the other athletes from the different regions, because we have athletes from PG, we have athletes from Corozal. It's difficult at times to really get them together. Other than national championships or when we have individual time trials, they would come in. But again, they're always looking, can you pay this for us? Can you bring us here? And sometimes it's difficult for an association that does not have a steady flow of funds. But we tried our best. We tried our best to assist. You may not know, you may know that in April of this year, we had our new elections. We elected a new body. And we have some of the incumbent members, and we have some new members that bring new ideas and new flow into the executive. And so we're looking at over the next couple of years, we will do a lot more for the sport. Right now we have one athlete going to the World Championships in Oregon, Portland, Oregon, and that is next week, Sean Gill. We have actually, one good thing for us, we have 5 athletes on Olympic scholarship this year, or this cycle. The last cycle we got 4. So we added one more athlete because of their performances, because of their move in the sport, no? And so we're the bottom line or overall goal of it is not to just have representation at the Olympics, but to have qualified athletes, athletes who qualify, meet the mark, meet the standard to say, I belong here and I was not just invited here. And so that's basically what we're looking for.
And I guess that for me feeds into the question which I was going to ask both of you guys in terms of what your ambitions are, with the sport or, in sports in general for the future. Like where do you see yourself or how do you see yourself continuing on the path that you've started? So Mia, perhaps you can start with that.
Well, as you said, I do want to qualify for Olympics and maybe one day even win Olympics. I also want to improve my score and maybe go to a Division 1 school.
For me, I'm gonna keep training because I want to try and beat the record for the long jump. For triple jump, I may try to beat that too, but right now I'm focusing on my long jump because I know I can improve that way more than I did in the competition that just went.
And what's it like competing again when you're competing at the regional level?
Well, competing at the regional level, well, it's a good experience because you get to meet a lot of people. Although most speak Spanish, there's a lot of them that speak English too. So being bilingual is a very important skill, I realize. But other than that, it's just fun to be there. You have your team, you have your friends, you can enjoy well, it's just a different environment. You can enjoy enjoy meeting new people, enjoy the competition. Win or lose, it's just a experience so that you know that you can get better. You can use that to improve yourself and just continue on.
When you guys were in Nicaragua, did you gauge the competition? Were you watching the sport as it was going on, and did you say, okay, that one, I need to beat she, or I need to beat he?
Well, there are many athletes that are amazing, just like you. And these athletes, you love to see them because it helps you push yourself to be the best you can be.
Yeah. What do you think it would take for other junior athletes to, other junior athletes that have that potential to join the association? What would you have to say to them?
It's not going to be an easy road. You will have some failures on the way. But what makes you a champion, you have to stay disciplined and determined. A lot of determination will bring you far.
Just try it out. Nothing beats a try in my book. Because I wasn't very good at first, but I kept on doing it and I got better and better.
Practice makes perfect, more or less.
The one key thing to say, because Mia broke the record 3 times.
And she's here sitting all humble.
Yeah, she broke it. It was the shot put record. She broke the Central American record in her category 3 times in that one event. So.
And she's here sitting like she don't have that experience.
Basically, at some point, the coach said, you know what, you have no competition. But I could leave you now.
Oh, that's why she couldn't gauge the competition. She was the competition.
And apart from coaches, how has maybe your family or friends, how have they reacted to your success?
Well, they had a lot of support from me. I'm thankful for all their love and everybody, not just my family, the whole of Bay is supporting me. And I'm glad that my mom especially and my dad, my 2 parents, are always behind my back.
Same thing. They're always supporting me, especially my aunts and uncle. Although they're way in the States, they always support me, send me congratulations, talk to me while I'm on the trip. My dad, my stepmother, they always support me as well. As I came back, a lot of surprises went out and just enjoyed myself.
What's next?
Well, I'm hoping to go to more competitions this year and hopefully get good results. So.
Yeah.
I'm going to continue training and just improve my score because when I went out, I didn't get my personal best.
Okay.
Because I injured my ankle, but next time.
So he has homework. Any final words and thoughts, Mr.
Well, in terms of you asked them what next, but what next for the association? Like I said, we have our 5 athletes or 6. 5 athletes going to the Commonwealth Games in Birmingham, England. We have 1 athlete going to the World Championships in Oregon, as I mentioned before. We have the upcoming Central American Games, which will be in November in Costa Rica, I believe. And then we also have the NACAC Championship, Senior Championship. NACAC is just a regional North America, South America, and Caribbean championships coming up in Grand Bahamas in next month. So we should have representation at these events on that scale. I mean, these athletes might be too young to attend some of those events because certain ages you're not able to attend. So like I said, they have a lot of years ahead of them in the sport. And of course, Mia, I look at the results of the senior championship in her 2 events. I was like, wow, 2 more gold medals. You know, as I say, I don't regret the decision we made as an executive not to be a part of the competition because of the risk. But you know, I'm grateful that these athletes were prepared for this competition last week, and they were willing to go there and do their best. And that is basically all we can ask of them at any time. So in closing, I just want to say to those that are out there, keep supporting these athletes, support the Belize Athletics Association. I'm grateful for those who support it because we had a drive, we had a raffle to raise some funds for the senior competition, and it was a good showing. People really supported the athletes, and as I said, your support is always welcome, and thanks for those who did support and who will continue to support us.
Thank you so much. But you know, whenever Belizeans go out and be ambassadors for Belize, we always do well. So I'm not surprised, and I can't wait to see what more you both have to offer the world. Thank you all so much for being here, and we'll be back with Trending Talks with Gavin. So after the break, so stay tuned.
Hola usuario de eCash, la aplicación eCash está disponible en español. Cambiar el idioma de tu aplicación de eCash de inglés a español es rápido y sencillo. Déjame mostrarte cómo se hace. Primero, abre tu aplicación eCash. Introduce tu PIN. Toca el icono More en la parte inferior de tu pantalla. Selecciona Security. Selecciona Language. Y luego selecciona Spanish. Vuelve a introducir tu PIN y ya está. Tu aplicación de eCash está ahora en español y puedes seguir disfrutando de tu cartera digital eCash. La aplicación eCash de Belize Bank te hace la vida más fácil.
Yo, this is Super G the General, and I want to invite you all to the
Belize International Music and Food Festival.
That will be held for 2 nights, July 30th
and the 31st at Sakachispas Field. It's party insane.
Mr. Chipo, you. As you left my yard, y'all know why you come back.
You know, it's yours truly, King Room Official.
It's your boy Stick the Artist.
My name is Clayton Williams.
It's your boy Dando.
Hi, my name is Deja.
TLC, baby. Blessings, everybody. This is Original Coffee inviting you out to the Belize International Music and Food Festival in San Pedro. There will be me, many other artists. There will be enough music, enough food. So come out, enjoy yourself.
I'm always on the go, and the country is my home. So when I want to get away from it all, I immerse myself with my favorite movies, all from the new Smart Stream app. It's easy to use this service. Purchase your movies from the app and use your mobile data, Smart Stream data packages, or smart broadband to stream and enjoy. Be like me and stream on the go with Smart Stream.
After 2 long years, the wait is finally over. On Tuesday, July 5th, your Tuesday night entertainment is back.
KTV
The Remix Season 4 kicks off with the audition show on Channel 5 at 8 p.m. Tune in to see who is hoping to sing their way into your hearts and walk away with the top prize. Then, on Tuesday, July 12th, we go live. And the best seat is at the Bliss. Come on out and win fabulous prizes and the chance to compete in our halftime challenge. Tickets are available at Channel 5 on Coney Drive at $3 for children and $5 for adults. Mask will be required. Or you can watch it live on Channel 5 or streaming on Facebook. The show starts at 8 p.m. at the Bliss Center for the Performing Arts. KTV The Remix Season 4. It's hot, it's live, and it's only on 5.
Wow. Oh my God, she drunk. No hurry, I got this. My goodness. Oh my gosh, it's the artist.
Being the hardest. The artist. But you had way more than 2 drinks tonight, love, which is a legal limit to drive. What about you? Can you drive?
Well, I was drinking soft drink all night, so I can drive her home. Thanks, Bree. Of course, Tricia, you know I got you. You're my girl.
That's what I like to see. Friends don't let friends drive drunk, because you can't replay in a real life. Stig says so. Can't replay in a real life.
Are you looking for low-cost television advertising? Have we got a deal for you? Advertise on Channel 5's Daily Classifieds. Channel 5's Daily Classifieds is one of the most effective methods for introducing yourself and your business to the community. Use our Daily Classifieds to recruit employees, promote specials, promote your products or services, promote a business opportunity, increase traffic to your website, and advertise items you have for sale. Let us help you to save valuable time and money. Call us today at 280-0013 or visit us at our offices on Coney Drive to discuss how we can help your business grow affordably. Channel 5 Daily Classifieds. Advertise today.
And we're back. And if you're joining us right now, we are about to get our show wrapped up. But before we do, it is Tuesday, so we are talking about some trending social media topics. And I'll give you a brief rundown of some of what has been buzzing on social media over the past couple days or so. Now, the first thing that we're going to talk about today is a little bit of music news. And if you are a music fan, you might know of the very famous platform called Tiny Desk Concert. And what that is when some of your favorite artists, some of the most famous in the world, in addition to some of the smaller artists, they go to a very small studio and they sing their songs, fully acoustic versions. Last week, very famous R&B artist Usher had his Tiny Desk Concert. It was, of course, one of the biggest on the platform so far, and if you go on YouTube right now, you can watch the full concert performing some of his greatest hits acoustically, and it's already generated millions of views. And of course, Usher showing why he's very famous, sounding really great. And if you're a fan, I would encourage you to check it out. But what has been more buzzing on social media that has come apart from that is about a 2-second clip right before he sings Confessions where he just says, "Watch this." And because of that, there has been so many memes talking that using that little platform. And as you can see on the screen, we got some of my favorite ones where, you know, the mom says, like, "Don't jump off that," and the boy's reaction will be like, "Watch this." And so there's a ton of that. So we can see this one was one that made me laugh too. It's like Jesus after taking 5 loaves and 2 fish to the crowd. Watch this. So a ton of different memes have been sparked from that, and they made me laugh. I think I even saw a couple Belizean ones, but these are just some of my favorite. So that was a really famous one, and especially if you're on Twitter, you can see probably, you know, I'm scrolling through Twitter and I see about like one every like 2 or 3 minutes. So that was definitely a huge social media trend. So we have some comedy and some music. So, but like I said, if you are an Usher fan or if you're a fan on R&B, go over to YouTube, check out Usher's Tiny Desk concert. It's actually one of the best ones, and it's really interesting. Now, the second topic that we're gonna talk about is shifting to a bit of sports news. Now, if you're a tennis fan like I am, you know that Wimbledon started last week. It's it is the oldest Grand Slam tournament, and it's probably the biggest and the oldest, most well-known tennis tournament in the entire world. And last week, what made this year's event special was that this year actually makes 100 years of Wimbledon at its current facility. Now, it's been around for more than 100 years, but the center court was inaugurated in 1922. So to mark 100 years, they had all of the surviving Wimbledon champions from way, way back. As you can see, some of the older guys. We see Margaret Court there. We see Rod Laver. And some of the current most popular faces, as we saw Roger Federer just now, we see Andy Murray, we see Rafa Nadal right there on the screen. You know, so there's Angelique Kerber. So male and female Wimbledon championships over the past, well, celebrating 100 years have were all out at the show on Sunday, and it was a really interesting. It was a really interesting event, and of course, the finals will end this week Sunday, and we'll see who's going to be this year's Grand Slam champion. And of course, the defending champions were there as well. So that's a pretty big thing in the sports world. And that was another topic which was generating a lot of buzz just because of the amount of people who've been there and such recognizable names that were all together in one place and for a rare event. And finally, shifting gears and to a different kind of competition, but was kind of interesting to me, is talking about hot dog eating competition. And if you know about this, you might already know this guy, Joey Chestnut, because he is now the 15th consecutive, the 15th time as the champion of the hot dog eating contest, Nathan's hot dog eating contest. And so consecutively he's won it. This is the 14th consecutive year he's won it in a row. This year he made the record again by eating 63 hot dogs in the competition. It was also funny. It was also fun that there was a little moment. There was a protester who came on the stage while he was eating, and while he was eating, he pushed the protester off, continued eating, won his record, and you can see all of his statistics right there. Actually, which go all the way back to 2005. So Joey Chestnut is a different kind of champion, but you can see all of the different years, and he's won it again. So congrats to him. But that definitely made news because of he's been basically undefeated for so long, and that's definitely a really interesting record. But it's one I thought to share because I saw a lot of posts about it, just because Mr. Chestnut here is such a unique individual. But those were some of the trending topics for this week that I wanted to talk about. And you know, if you want to hear about more, you can always send in topics to us. But those are trending topics for this week. April, what do you You think you could enter a hot dog competition?
That what you call John Crostoma.
Yeah, for sure.
He got me out by 60. I'm not sure about you, but
yeah, I think that's about
3 is
there
the
for me.
limit for me. But trending topics, I am shocked that you didn't mention one trending topic.
Which is?
Also, sit to look for my wife. A Belizean wife.
Yes, he did say that.
No. These are all topics. I love your trending topics because I don't know trends, and every time Gavin comes up, he always enlightens me with something new. So I don't know about the hot dog eating contest.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, I thought that I had to share that with you guys because I was scrolling through things and I saw it as a trend on Twitter, and I was like, what? So. Maybe, and who knows what will come. Maybe we should get that started here, you know, because I think I know some people here who might be able to give him a run for his money. So
I would watch that competition. Better than.
Yeah. So right after KTV finishes, maybe we could do.
We have to, Marlene, we want a hot dog eating competition. Yeah. But if you have any other trends that you would like us to know about, you could always send us an email and have Gavin feature them on his Trending Tuesdays.
Absolutely.
But we gotta go. But before we wrap up, we have a birthday shout out, and we want to send a very special happy birthday to Brianna Usher. Happy birthday, Brianna. We hope you have a wonderful day filled with lots of blessings and love. Make sure you eat cake.
Yep, happy birthday.
Happy birthday. If you have a birthday greeting or any questions or concerns, you can always drop us an email at oye@channel5belize.com.
You can also find us on Facebook at Open Your Eyes BZ and on Instagram at OYE Belize.
Of course, thank you so much for tuning in when you're waking up, opening your eyes,
starting your morning right,
and be sure to keep your eyes, your minds,
and your heart open.
See you soon, Belize. Bye.
Open Your Eyes was brought to you by the Belize Bank. Our